What's going on there, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Craftavore Tastes and a special episode of the Craftavore Tastes. Today, I am debuting a new format here on the Craftavore Taste. It's probably one that if you've been watching beer YouTubers over the years, have become pretty familiar with, and that is battle beers. So, if you're not familiar with the battle beers episode, basically, what it is, I'm taking two beers that are similar in style, or perhaps they utilize the same hop profile or whatever it may be. Essentially, two extremely similar beers, and then pitting them against each other in a head-to-head competition to basically see which one comes out on top. So we're going to start off this inaugural debut episode of Battle Beers here on the Craftavore Tastes with two particular beers that I think should make the beer gods and the geeks pretty happy, man. Two super hyped breweries out of the Northeast. So first beer that we're going to be diving into is from Treehouse Brewing Company out of Charlton, Massachusetts. This is Bright with Citra. So super stoked about that. And what we're going to be pitting up Bright with Citra against is Hill Farmstead out of Greensboro Bend, Vermont. They're double Citra. All right, so both beers, double IPAs, coming in at similar ABVs. Bright with Citra is 7.8 and double Citra is 8% ABV. And obviously both are exclusively brewed with Citra. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into this review. For folks that don't like the longer content, this may want to be a little bit long, so bear with us, but we're going to dive into it. All right, so let's go ahead and obviously go through the drill of both of these beers. Going to take a look at the appearance, get the aroma, taste it, and then, of course, we're going to rate them both, and we'll see who comes out on top. All right, so let's go ahead and get these glasses stacked up properly here on the camera. Obviously, I'm using proper Treehouse Brewing glassware for the Bright with Citra, and then, unfortunately, I don't have any Hill Farmstead glassware. Shame on me. So I'm actually going with my old school Nebco Gandhi Bach glass, which is pretty much a collector's item at this moment and a pretty badass glass in and of itself. All right, so let's go ahead and get these beers poured. And then we'll actually just begin to, go through the drill, man. We'll see how these two guys stack up. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll pour. Actually, let's do that. Bright with Citra. Put that one there. Let's get that double Citra going in this other glass. So, perfect. All right, we'll put that guy right over there. All right, so look on camera and my close. I got to put in a little more with the double Citra. Perfect. All right, so beers, in terms of the appearance, actually pour extremely similar looking. It's kind of crazy. The double Citra does have a little bit more of a darker kind of orange hue to it than the Bright with Citra. So if I gotta kind of pick these up and put them a little bit in the light, yeah, it's tough to kind of tell. I'm wondering how it's going to essentially look on camera, but just to the naked eye here on my side, the double Citra from Hill Farmstead is just a shade bit darker than the Treehouse Bright with Citra, but it's essentially barely noticeable. Both are obviously, obviously calling it super hazy, kind of full-on haze, typical New England style. Both of them obviously pour kind of just a kind of brilliant kind of orange medium to medium gold plus kind of color. As you can see, the head has actually stuck around a little bit more here on the Bright with Citra, a little bit more kind of frothy, rocky, and kind of foamy, whereas the double Citra from Hill Farmstead has kind of dissipated a little bit to a nice little kind of thin layer going on there with some pretty big bubbles. So overall, in terms of the appearance, they look pretty similar, man. So let's go ahead and let's dive into the Bright with Citra first and get an aroma. Man. Oh my God, so super intense. Tremendous amount of orange and tangerine up front. There is kind of a little bit of a mustiness that I sometimes get from Citra. So I'm getting kind of a little bit of mustiness coming out of the Bright with Citra, but yeah, it's obviously just mostly kind of big, huge orange and tangerine up front. The one thing that I will say, which is kind of interesting, as I kind of dive in a little bit further into the nose, I do get like almost like a hint of like, I don't want to say booze because it's not that present, but like alcohol waft going on into the beer, which is a little bit unusual, at least for me, from Treehouse beers. But yeah, it's slightly there. There's no question about it. But huge, big orange and tangerine notes coming from the Brightwood Citra. Let's dive into the Hill Farmstead Double Citra. Oh, wow. So, obviously, being brewed and dry hopped with the same exact hop, the nose is similar. However, man, so again, huge, big orange tangerine citrus up front. But the thing that I get out of the Double Citra from Hill Farmstead is a little bit more kind of perceived sweetness there. So I'm not going to say candied fruits or candied orange, but there is a little bit more perceived sweetness to the overall Double Citra than I am getting out of the Brightwood Citra. Also, none of that alcohol presence that I was getting off of the Brightwood Citra, I'm getting in the Double Citra whatsoever. And there's this even, there's even this kind of interesting overlay of like, almost kind of like a sweet strawberry. I can't remember the beer that I reviewed. I'm interested to see to go back and actually see if it was a beer brewed with Citra, but it was one episode that I can't remember right now where I did get like a perceived like sweet strawberry on the nose, and I'm getting that from Hill Farmstead's Double Citra here. It smells absolutely incredible. So in terms of the overall appearance, it is basically a dead heat, right? They look basically the same. The aroma, Hill Farmstead Double Citra right now, popping a little bit more to the top, coming across as a little bit more complex, in my opinion. All right, so let's get ourselves into the taste. Start off with the Brightwood Citra. Cheers. Super, super nice. So, taste follows the nose here. Big, huge notes of obviously orange and tangerine. Slight twinge of potentially a little bit of kind of pine on the back end, but not really so much. It's very much more citrus kind of dominant and citrus forward. Mouthfeel is incredibly, incredibly soft. Creamy, almost kind of texture, typical of a Treehouse beer. That alcohol that I perceived in the nose, don't really get anything whatsoever. One thing I will note that is a little bit different here is that there is a little bit of perceived bitterness here on the kind of back end that's lingering around the palate so much. Stays a little bit more in the roof and kind of up front, doesn't really kind of travel all the way back down. But yeah, there is a little bit of kind of perceived bitterness going on there. Interesting. All right, let's dive into the Hill Farmstead Double Citra. Cheers. Wow. Okay. So straight up in the taste, again, similar. Big notes. Orange, tangerine, huge citrus pop. The difference here in the Hill Farmstead is there are also kind of notes of mango, even perhaps a little bit of kind of melon. There's, similar to how the nose delivered, there is significant more, I'm not going to say significant's a tough word. There is a much larger or easier perceived complexity to the Hill Farmstead Double Citra than there is the Brightwood Citra, if that makes sense. A little bit more kind of sweetness going on there as well. So the malt is showing itself a little bit more here in the Double Citra than the Brightwood Citra. The other thing that I also will notice is no perceived bitterness whatsoever. And the mouthfeel is almost even softer than the Brightwood Citra is, which is kind of incredible. It's bordering on that kind of carbonation level where it almost kind of, slightly tickles the throat a little bit, right? Like it's just kind of super, super nice and just understated that it works really, really well. So going back in for another taste. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead, wrap this one up. Battle beers. Let's find out what the verdict is and give ourselves a rating. All right, so as I said, Both beers extremely similar in terms of their overall appearance. Hill Farmstead obviously coming in just a shade bit darker in terms of the overall look. Nose, again, giving the edge over to Hill Farmstead, just a little bit more complex in that nose with those interesting notes of obviously orange, tangerine, and a little bit of sweet strawberry. Taste follows that nose. A lot more complex in terms of the double Citra from Hill Farmstead. It comes across as a bit more well-rounded than the Brightwood Citra from Treehouse does, and a little bit more well-balanced, to be perfectly honest with you. The malt is definitely giving a little bit of a sweetness here, giving some balance out to those kind of aggressive Citra hops. And so at the end of the day, we're going to do a rating right now in caps, side by side. Battle beers, Treehouse Brewing's Brightwood Citra versus Hill Farmstead's Double Citra. 4.25 caps for the Brightwood Citra. Still an absolutely crazy, awesome, amazing beer. And for the Hill Farmstead Double Citra, I am going to go ahead and give this guy a 4.75 caps, man. Abso-freaking-lutely. That is an unbelievable, incredible, well balanced, perfectly executed double IPA, showcasing Citra hops in all of the right ways. Yeah, don't expect anything less from Sean Hill and Hill Farmstead. So, in the head-to-head, the winner is... Let me get that in the camera shot. Hill Farmstead Double Citra, 4.75 caps. All right, hope you enjoyed this episode of the Craftavore Taste. I'll probably do some more Battle Beers episodes as we come along. And so until next time, that'll do it. And I'll hope you join me again for another episode where I drink, review, rate, and repeat. Cheers, guys.